Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having an unbelievable start to your week. It is Monday. You know what that means? It's Money Monday. It's where we talk about money management, money generation, revenue generation, how to improve our financial situation from the front end. Wealth building Wednesday is more on the back end. What do you do with your money once you make it to generate a situation where your money begins to work for you? Money Monday is about what you do to create that stream of revenue outside of traditional jobs, or what you do with it once you work a traditional job. But uh, everything is on 10 right now on social media. All the energy is coming in, especially in the Black community. All the energy is coming in from the incident that happened in Montgomery, Alabama, uh, at the Riverfront Park, if I'm not mistaken. A brawl that took place on the pier concerning some type of boat blocking a riverboat, and the dockhand asking them to move it. Dockhand happened to be Black. They happened to be white. They jumped it. All hell broke loose, and Blacks responded. Let me be the first to say, as a person outside of what I do in business, who has had 3 decades of being directly engaged and involved in the Black community in a massive way, I am glad to see us functioning in a unified, synced mechanism to stand up for one another. And this happened because one person got in trouble. One person initially responded. The guy swimming that's mad crazy, because it also attacks a stereotype concerning Blacks. But to swim to get there, to stand in defense of another brother, was huge. But the first responder, this one brother that's looking down and there are 8 guys on one guy, and he rushes in to make it 8 on 2, is massively important. And so a lot of energy is on there. Everybody's excited. 50 million memes floating around. And I know that's where the conversation is right now. And I don't want to step on it, but I do want to take it. I think there's a difference between being excited and being inspired. And I think that we should look at it from a position of, how does it inspire us? Get excited about, because when you get excited about it, excitement has a very short shelf life. It is not very enduring. It doesn't have endurance and resilience. You get excited and you come down. When you become inspired, you hold on to what made you excited long after the excitement subsides. It becomes something meaningful to you. It becomes something that challenges you, something that encourages you, something that gives you a sense of reason and purpose. I think that what we need to look at is in the same manner that we responded and resisted the idea that you can push us around physically, we need to be doing the same thing economically. We need to be doing the same thing politically. We need to be doing the same thing socially. And I think it's important for us to stand. It's hard to resist being manhandled on a socioeconomic level when there is a wealth gap between you and the power structure of 177,000 median household wealth versus 17,000, and the gap is widening. You have to understand that you're going to have to, at some point, invest in being more capable to match your physical prowess with your economic prowess. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the responsibility of being able to improve our ability to resist being mishandled, misused, manipulated, controlled, undervalued, underpaid, and so many other things, in the same way that we saw those people in Alabama resist being physically assaulted and attacked. I think that, yeah, we need to, there's a fun element to it because there was so much going on, but that's also like, yeah, that's right. We're not going to take that. And I think that's necessary. I think that we do need the excitement that comes with it, but I think the inspiration has to be of greater value here. And I'm just saying that because eventually we'll stop talking about this. It'll be like every other thing that came across and got viral energy, something else will replace it. Some other conversation will replace it. And I think that if you anchor it more in the realm of inspiration, then the excitement isn't what keeps it going. It's the idea that we can do the same thing economically, financially. We can become more uh, collaborative in our efforts to be financially soluble, be financially potent, to be powerful. And so that's the challenge that I want to make here. Before I move more into this, I want to remind you, I've actually sort of as a celebration of this thing, extended the offer I had this weekend, which is uh, the Path to Generational Wealth 18-month course being offered um, at half off. So instead of the regular $26.95, it's $1347.50 for the remainder of the day. It was supposed to expire last night at 11:59, but I extended it to, first of all, today's Money Monday. Second of all, there's so much Black cohesiveness right now. I'm hoping that we can get some momentum and start talking about how we challenge the other areas, because physicality is one thing, but so much of what we experience is outside the realm of our physicality. A place where we can usually show dominance, but it's in our economic stability, in our business ownership, in our investment strategies, in those things. We can't stop gentrification, not because we're not physically strong, but because we're not economically strong, because we don't have an economic plan. So the Path to Generational Wealth course is an 18-month course. Took me 10 years to compile the information in this course and to put it together. It's normally $26.95. For the remainder of the day, it's $1347.50. But you're going to also get a number of bonuses, including the 7-day online business launch course, which is my blueprint for creating revenue streams online. What I've done for the last 13 plus years online, showing you how I've done it over and over and over again in different industries and areas to generate multiple streams of income in diverse industries. And you can do the same thing. That's going to be absolutely free. But more importantly, you have the option here of either using Afterpay or using the organization or institution sponsored installment plan, so that you don't have to pay it all up front. You can pay it in installments up to 6 months with Afterpay, and you can pay up to 12 months with the installment plan using the institution or academy sponsored installments. Or you can pay in full. If you pay in full, you get 5 sessions with yours truly, a $3,000 value at no additional charge. The links are in the description box. I'm really hoping that you guys will take advantage of this before it expires tonight. And here's why. What we are dealing with here isn't an issue of morality, although it's often presented and we often interpret it through the lens of morality. We're not dealing with morality, we're dealing with power. Power responds to the things that created or dissipated. And that is finance, that is wealth, that is the ability to resource ideas. And so when you have these unbelievable minds, but you don't have the ability to resource ideas, I've spent 30 years researching over 80,000 hours, the Black Enigma, everything from multi-generational transmission of trauma, economic disparities, disproportionality in special education referrals, other academic and educational issues, uh, intimate partner violence, African-American adolescent and young adult male violence, and on down the line. And I have come up with an unbelievable amount of information that is capable of really truly shifting who we are, but it has to be financed and funded. For the most part, everything I've done has been me. 90+% of what I've done financing myself. And there have been others who have supported me along the way. And I love every last one of you, from the person who has donated substantial amounts to the person who has given $1. You mean the world to me, because you are the vote of confidence in what I do. And so I thank you for that. But there has to be a greater response. There has to be a greater level of engagement, but more on a personal level. Forget what someone like me is doing. And yes, we do need to show love and show support for people who are out there actually putting in the effort to support a group idea or a racial idea with their own genius. I think we need to really truly have a conversation about that. But we also have a more intense personal responsibility to be financially responsible, to get away from the consumer mindset, to get away from thinking that we can achieve power through symbolism. And what normally happens on a subconscious level is that when we can't have something, we will become satisfied with the symbol. So we go out and we buy things that we can't really truly afford, that we generally are pushing ourselves to the edge or going in debt to say we've arrived. We want people to see us. We out purchase, even though there's this huge wealth gap of 177,000 in median household wealth to 17,000 in median household wealth. We purchase 2 times more Mercedes Benzes than they do in a year. We spend $2 billion on Jordans, 2.5 billion, 2.3, 2.5 billion dollars on Jordans annually. We um spend somewhere roughly around 573 billion between Halloween and Christmas. Somewhere along 45 billion for Halloween, 53 billion for Thanksgiving, and a whopping 470 something billion for Christmas. And we're on the last rung of the socioeconomic ladder. Consumerism is this mindset that my value is satisfied, and but it's also driven by a pleasure center. They have told you that happiness is in things. There is Madison Avenue, Wall Street, Washington D.C., Silicon Valley. All of these major players have convinced you that it's in buying things that you achieve happiness. They've even redefined the term happiness to include pleasure. And the truth of the matter is, scientifically speaking, they come from two totally different parts of the brain and the secretion of two different hormonal neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. I don't want to get too technical in this, but dopamine excites neurons, and a neurotransmitter transmits information from one neuron to the next, but during the process, the neuroreceptors are overexcited with dopamine. And what happens is, when a neuroreceptor is overexcited too often, or too frequently, too intensively, it starts to die. So, to protect itself, it will start shutting down neuroreceptors so there aren't as many to receive the dopamine message. And what happens then is, that means you've got to what? Take twice as much of what you've been taking: gambling, pornography, uh, shopping in the mall, buying cars, all these things that are exciting you because you're pursuing happiness in things. Well, the thing is, in order to protect itself, these neuroreceptors are shutting down, making you need to buy more things in order to achieve the same level of this feeling you get, which is an excitement that, and it's actually a feeling of pleasure, not happiness. Two totally different things. Serotonin, on the other hand, is a neuroinhibitor. It's a transmitter, but it's a neuroinhibitor, meaning that it actually slows the firing down. It can provide balance, but it also slows the firing down. What does it do? It creates a level of calm. Some of the newer meditation people call it a Zen level. It's in religious sectors, it's called joy, but it's a level of contentment that is not responsive to situation. In other words, you can have your happiness and have a bad day. You can have your happiness and have a situation. You can have your happiness and not have the Benz. You can have the Benz and lose the Benz and still have your happiness, because it's in a level of contentment and a level of satisfaction and a level that can be sustained over time and does not drive you. Now, the same thing with dopamine that causes you to have to buy more, do more to achieve this excitement that kills these neurons. Eventually, what happens is you got to do more and more and more of it just to get the same feeling. And eventually you can't get it. And it's called what? Tolerance. And once the neuron completely dies, it's called what? Addiction. This is how you become addicted to drugs. This is how you become addicted to sex. This is how you become addicted to gambling. This is how you become addicted to pornography. This is how you become addicted to shopping and all of these other things. And you're chasing it and you're going into debt to get it. And you're making other people wealthy and making yourself miserable, because guess what? You still can't get that feeling anymore. So now you're telling yourself, I can't be happy. It used to be money by itself, and money still plays a major role in divorces. But now the number one response is, I'm not happy. Why? You can say it's money issues, but it's actually, I can't buy enough stuff to be happy. And we've got to redefine that. We have to redefine that, but we've also it means we're going to have to shift how we think about money. See, it's not just the instruments of wealth, it's the mindset of wealth that's important as well. See, people who have a wealth mindset are looking to invest. People who have a consumer mindset are looking to buy. Two totally different things. Money is leaving you both times, both ways. One is going out to find a way to bring more money back in. The other is going away to find things that provide momentary elation that over time dwindles. That new car doesn't give you the same feeling 2 months, 3 months down the line. Why? Because number one, that excitement can't be sustained on a physiological, neurological level, but also because now the reality of what I've got to pay for it and all the other stuff starts to go off. So what you're looking for the next thing that'll give you that feeling. You done spent 80, 100, 110, $20,000 on the vehicle. This luxury vehicle that makes you stand out, that gives the appearance that you've arrived. You spent it. And now you don't have the feeling anymore. You didn't spend it with an idea of what you could do with it that might create value. You didn't spend it with, okay, and there are certain times that it may, because we are a visual people. The optics matter. You can't go out and say you're successful in certain spheres and pull up in a Toyota, despite the fact that the number one car driven by millionaires is a Toyota Camry. Why? Because the people who are driving the Toyota Camry aren't trying to impress people. They're making moves. They know how to operate. They've established a thing. But if you're trying to build your business, in order for you to present success, people will want to see, well, how I know you're successful. And how people judge success are things. I tell people all the time, success isn't your things. Your things are a result of your success. Success is this progressive movement towards a worthwhile goal. You got to ask yourself, is the goal that I'm moving to worthwhile? Is it worthy of my effort? Is it worthy of my time? Is it worthy of the money that I'm pouring into it? And if it is, then you are successful. You may not be there yet. It's not just arriving at the goal. It's not just getting the car. It's not just getting the house. It's not just hitting your financial mark. It's the progress, because every time you progress, it means you've grown. And you need to grow in the mindset of building. That's the thing that we've got to learn. So when I go back and I look at this symbolic happening of this weekend in Montgomery, I'm happy because I see Black people standing up for Black people. I see Black people saying, not on my watch. I see Black people saying, this is not your daddy's Alabama. I see the willingness to sit up and say, hey, I got time. And I'm with that. I'm with that. I am definitely with that. You cannot come up on a brother, definitely not a sister, when I'm around. It's just simply not going to happen. It's just built in me. And it's been that way. This isn't new for me. It's been that way. It's just not going to happen. But to see it happen in unison, in such force, it's like when dude threw his hat, it was like a call for everybody with Air Forces, white or black, time to ride. And it's, I'm being a little facetious, but I'm serious as a heart attack. But here's the thing, that has to translate into the area and arena of true power. See, like when I see that, I get excited because to me, I see more than that. I see a mindset that says I'm tired. I see a mindset that says enough. I see a mindset that says that time right here. We got time. Let's do this. I see that, but then I say, okay, how can that translate into the sphere of influence that really impacts us? See, we're impacted socioeconomically. If we get into a battle where it's just throwing hands, we are usually going to win that unless we're dealing with someone who is professionally trained. And then, it all depends. We've had to fight growing up. We've had to fight to defend ourselves, defend our sisters, defend our brothers. We've had to do this. So it's actually instinctively in us. I think that we're extending it and starting to see one another as brothers more and more, which is to me also a victory. Why? Because we are constantly being fed that we're each other's enemies. So to see that is great, but I want to see it transcend into what? Into us doing things that protect us socioeconomically, advance us socioeconomically, give us the strength to be able to effectively what? Prepare and empower our children, which is the true nature of education. Education isn't simply the attainment of academic skills. Education is also the holistic part of preparation and empowerment that starts in the home. That starts with a sense of identity, a sense of self, a sense of self-awareness that builds on self-confidence, self-esteem, and allows our children to go out and not only compete in a world that's inherently hostile towards them, but to win. And that starts with our ability to produce and provide for them. It starts with ownership. We need to start owning our own businesses. We need to start building and financing residential development, residential restructuring, urban renewal within our communities with our money so that we can stop gentrification. We can stop our ancestors and our elders from losing their properties because they simply can't afford property tax. And this is happening all across the United States. And it's within our power to stop if we shift our mindset. So when I created the Path to Generational Wealth course, I created it hoping to empower my people, hoping that at some point they would see the value in literally learning that there's not some magic switch you get because you're white that gives you the insight. They have, number one, a head start. Number two, they have a culture of talking about and connecting. And the thing is, they don't have to like each other to collaborate. Their focus in mindset around relationship is different than ours. We will not work with someone we don't like, but then we'll go work around them all day long for pennies on the freaking dollar. Be miserable. 85% of Americans show up to jobs they hate every freaking day. 85%. And we are a significant portion of that population. And we show up and we work with them. We can't stand them. We can't wait to get out. We've seen videos and we've seen shorts of, this woman going off about how she's got to get her head right and pretend she wants to be there and pretend. And that is so many of us, when the truth of the matter is a lot of that can change if we shift our mind and start focusing on the ways we change it ourselves. It's not their responsibility to change it for us. It's our responsibility to look inside of ourselves and say, what can I do differently? And the beautiful thing that I learned in the 10 years it took me to put this together, I've never had a problem with coming together and creating ideas to start businesses. That's been my thing. I've been good at it for a very long time. But true wealth building and all the dynamics that go in, I learned a lot in that 10-year period. And the thing I learned is all of that stuff that they have, it's accessible to us as well. Now, obviously, there's the good old boy thing where you can get the inside hookup, but you don't need the inside hookup. You need the right mindset, and you can go out and you can find ways you create it. And over time, you can create your own good old boy network where we're connecting and hooking one another up. And that has to be something else. If you see somebody that's doing something phenomenal, hook them up, connect them. Call somebody and say, hey, you need to talk to this person. Call somebody and say, if you need this done, that person does it. We need to start doing that more and more and more and more. Instead of critiquing Black businesses so heavily, we need to understand the challenges that Black businesses face so that we can understand how we may be able to facilitate better customer service, facilitate, because the business and client and customer relationship is complex. The more information a business has, customer intelligence, the more a business has, the better experience they can give. But you got to understand, because we don't own anything on a vertical level, it's hard for us to have better pricing. See, vertical economics says I don't only operate on the retail level. I operate on the distribution and the manufacturing level. Why is that important? Because if I operate on the manufacturing and the distribution level, I control the prices at the retail level. So that means I can give breaks to Black businesses that will allow them to compete financially with larger businesses, white businesses, Asian businesses. One of the reasons why Blacks make up 96% of the revenue in the beauty supply industry, but only own 3% of the businesses, is because manufacturing and distribution is primarily dominated by what? Asians. So what happens? Even when you decide, man, I'm gonna go into the beauty supply business, you open up your shop, you're getting charged 3 or 4 times what your Asian counterpart is getting charged, and then they are what? Pricing you out of the business. That's why you don't see those businesses stay open long. It's simple mathematics. We have to become more involved. We have to become more aware. We've got to be willing to put the same energy into the mental and financial and socioeconomic element and component as we were in the physical element of what took off in Alabama. We need to take that as inspiration and not just bathe in the excitement of it for a temporary time, and then it just moves in the wayside and we're on to the next thing. We need to look up and sit up and say, what is it symbolic of? What can we take away from this? What should we be using? How do we translate it into other areas of existence in our lives so that we can become more powerful, so that we can become a force to be reckoned with, so that we can make our presence felt? That is the question. So again, my challenge today is, hey, we have way more capacity to do far more than what we're doing. Shout out to the brothers that stood up for that young man who was simply doing his job. Um, I am also, I have been on record as being extremely critical of law enforcement. I have made some allies within law enforcement to work with families in the communities in certain cities across, including the city in which I operate in. And I know that there are people in those organizations who care, but I know what I've also seen over the course of my life and what I've seen happen to my brothers. So I've been very critical. But what I will say is I saw just as many white people, if not more, handcuffed as I did Blacks. And so I'm going to acknowledge that, because I believe acknowledging the truth is a part of what creates credibility. It's also what creates trust along the lines of making some things happen. Um, and so, again, I'm excited about what we can possibly do with the energy that's created here if we can translate that energy into inspiration versus excitement. And so that's my thing, man. Let's take this and turn it into something else. Again, finally, once again, as a celebration of what took place this weekend, also as a celebration of this being Money Monday, I extended the weekend special where we took the Path to Generational Wealth course, this thing that took me 10 years to build. That's an 18-month course. I mean, it is everything A to Z in wealth building. I mean, I took their minds and I picked their minds, and it took years, because number one, it took several years to start to get them to even agree to communicate with me. but I didn't stop. Be resilient in pushing your passion and your dream. If you believe that something gonna happen, don't you take no as a final answer. You go until you get the yes. Trust me, I've had to do it multiple times, but I am so thankful that I didn't quit, that I didn't say, man, I'm not doing this. I'll figure it out and I'm gonna do what I do. I wanted it and I wanted it for a reason. And I have gotten to that and I've put it out there. It's there. And it's worth way more. It's worth more than any college course you can take right now, because if you can master 20% of what's in this course, it will change your life and it would allow you to teach other people and change their lives. And that's what I want to see happen. So on that note, look, I'm gonna get ready to get off here. I could talk about this all day long. So I'm gonna get off. But again, if you want to get it half price, there are a couple of ways you can do it. You can do it through Afterpay, or you can pay in full on the same link as Afterpay. But if you pay in full, you get 5 sessions at no additional charge, 5 sessions with yours truly. So I'm going to walk you through the beginning stages of getting through this, get an idea of where you're at, get you set up, really truly work through some things and get you on the right path. If you've never worked with me before, just go check out some of my content and imagine the energy that goes into my message, the energy that goes into the way that I challenge, the way that I teach, the way that I move, the problem solving that I do. And I say all of that energy is pointed solely towards you and only you and what you're dealing with. And imagine what can come out of that. I have an unbelievable success rate in working with people one-on-one. I'm one of the best, and I do it internationally. So again, if you want to pay in full, the whole 1347.50, that's what you get. But if you want to pay in installments, you can use Afterpay and break it down into either bi-weekly, 4 bi-weekly installments, or as much as 6 months, depending on what you qualify for. Or if you want to break it down to 12 monthly installments, you can go to the actual Legacy Wealth Academy site where the class is actually presented and choose the installment place. Now, the regular price is going to be up if you pay in full on that. Don't pay in full on there. But the installments will you can click installments and it'll tell you how to do it. So you can do either of those ways. But if you pay in full, the 1347, you get the 5 sessions with me, and that's a $3,000 value in and of itself. So that's that. I hope that I've helped you. I hope that I've given you something to think about. Look, if you believe in what you've heard today, if you believe that it may help somebody, share it. Click the like button. And if you're on a channel in which you can just subscribe. On that note, look, I'm out here. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I challenge you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm out of here.